All right, fantastic. Thanks to everyone who's joined us. We've got a few more people coming in as we go, but let's kick off. So today we're really going to look at an introduction to PPSR logic, and PPSR logic is our brand spanking new PPSR registration platform. Allows you to do everything to do with registrations, renewals, management, etc. I've got with me today Paul Mead, who's our PPSR specialist. Paul, say hello.
Hi, Patrick. Hi, everyone.
Thanks to Paul for joining us today. As any of you who've joined us for a PPSR webinar previously, Paul is the man, so he knows exactly what he's talking about. So a little bit about us. I'm the MD at Creditor Watch, and as you can see, my marketing team likes to put little things in about me. Loves double layering cookies with Nutella with no regrets. Paul, PPSR specialist at Creditor Watch, aka PPSR Paul, loves jogging in inverted commas in marathons. I reckon he's done more marathons than anyone in the company, except for maybe Matt Jackson. If anyone follows LinkedIn, Creditor Watch LinkedIn, you know that he's pretty much running a marathon every week. So before we get into it, the standard things to remember, Q&A. We do have a few people standing by. Obviously, PPSR questions can be easy to answer, but they can also be quite complicated. So if they are a little bit more complicated, what we'll do is we'll get back to you via email or a phone call from Paul if necessary. But please don't be shy. Ask questions along the way, and if we can answer them, we certainly will. Slides and webinar recording will be sent out within sort of 24 to 48 hours. And we're probably looking at a session time of about 30 minutes as well. Please take advantage of Paul, not just today during the webinar, but going forward. If you do have any questions, any concerns, you want to get deep into PPSR knowledge and legislation, PPSR Paul is the man to assist you with that. He knows PPSR thoroughly, has been involved in it for over a decade now, both from a study point of view at university and also through his work and his employment. And he has been certainly a key stakeholder, and that's probably underselling it, in the birth of PPSR logic and the ongoing innovations and improvements to it. As you know, at Creditor Watch, we're always keen to improve, and he's a big part of that as well. So we're going to give a little bit of a background on PPSR today. We're not going to spend too much time on it, as we have we've done plenty of sessions on it before, so we don't want to double up for those who joined us previously. If you want a little bit more background on PPSR, we do have other webinars that we've recorded and are on our website, or you can get in contact with us. We can always set up a time for you to chat with Paul or someone else within the business. The most important thing we're going to do today is an introduction and a live demonstration of PPSR logic itself, how you can create, renew, manage, discharge, everything to do with PPSR registrations. We'll look at obviously the differences and benefits, and also touch on the fact that PPSR logic integrates with not just Creditor Watch itself. So when you're looking at a credit report, for example, you can register a security against them from the Creditor Watch portal itself, but also the integration or the connectivity with Apply Easy, which is our online credit application. So something that is extremely important. It's capturing all the information of your customers when they're applying, and when it comes to approval time, giving you essentially a one-click option to register against the PPSR. As always, we've got some poll questions along the way just to get a better understanding of who is listening today, and a case study or two at the end. So a little bit about Creditor Watch, Australia's leading commercial credit reporting bureau with over 50,000 customers, a wide range of products from your standard credit reports, monitoring and alerts, scoring, some collection tools as well. Data Logic Plus is our trade program, allows us to assist you in analysing your debtors ledger or your receivables and flagging high risk parts of your portfolio. Bankruptcy Plus assesses the individuals behind a company. Apply Easy is obviously our online credit application that a lot of people are familiar with. We've got hundreds, if not 1,000 plus out there now being used. And of course, PPSR logic, which we're focusing on today. So I will pass over to Paul for this, as he is the expert.
Thanks very much, Patrick. Look, I certainly probably don't need to go through the background on the PPSR in too much detail, but the register itself came into effect back in January 2012, and it really is established to register those security interests that individuals and businesses have over other businesses, and certainly to make sure in an insolvency event that their interest is listed and dealt with by the administrator accordingly. Quickly jump into a poll question before we get into the nitty-gritty of PPSR logic itself. What I'll do, I'll load that up now. So the question really is for everyone out there, do you currently register on the PPSR? And it's a yes/no question.
So this obviously helps us to tailor the presentation depending on the spread, but I think what we'll probably find it's going to be a pretty consistent spread of yes and no's. So let's have a look at the results.
So we can see there that it is pretty evenly split. 53% of you are currently registering, and there's 47% that aren't. So I guess for the 47% of you listening who aren't currently registering, what I would recommend is listening to some of our earlier webinars just to get an idea of PPSR itself in a bit more detail. So from here, I'll jump into PPSR logic and give you a bit of background on how we came up with the system and some of the benefits, and then jump into the demonstration of it itself. So a background on PPSR logic. I've had a lot of experience in the industry itself, working with a number of different systems and with the PPSR portal itself. What we did in building the system is look at some of the other systems out there, how to effectively and easily manage it as much as possible. And as you can see there, trying to work out why customers aren't securing themselves better, formulating some innovation around how we might deliver our portal, what's working, isn't working with current solutions in the market, and what do actually you as the customer really want from the system.
So just to jump in there, obviously Creditor Watch very much focused on, innovation, technology, and also providing, really good customer or user experiences. And that involves speaking to, creating PPSR logic involves speaking to probably close to 100 customers out there, not just at Creditor Watch, but people using other portals, even if it's the government portal itself. So what we have launched to date is something that is unique and essentially has every feature that the other portals have, as well as those that are missing. So the feedback that we got from customers was there was no single portal out there that did everything, and ultimately that's what PPSR logic is striving to provide to people, and we believe we're pretty close. Regardless of what it looks like right now, we've got plenty of additional features that are being worked on as we speak, and as always, we'll continue to improve it off the back of technology advances, but also customer feedback.
All right, so I'll jump into a live demonstration of PPSR logic. For those of you out there who are not currently using the system, hopefully it will provide you with some added insight as to how we can benefit you with your PPSR registrations. So what we've developed on the system itself is a one-stop shop. So tried to encapsulate all aspects of PPSR, be it creating registrations, templates for your registrations, but also managing your existing registrations all within the one portal itself, or the one page. As a first step, when you would sign up to PPSR logic, if you do currently have an existing SPG or access code, we will import that as an initial step. And as part of that import process, we'll actually import all of your existing registrations. And this is, I guess, one of the key benefits of PPSR logic compared to going to PPSR Direct, and also a lot of the other providers in the market. We'll show you all of your existing registrations and filter these by what's due to expire next. As you can see here, We have set up some dummy registrations and they're set to expire in 7 years from today. But all of the information around the registration itself is summarised in this table here. If you do want to view any additional information on the registrations itself, you can just click through and we detail all of that basic information from you on the registration itself. We also have some quick or easy to use management tools for each of our registrations. So if you need to retrieve your verification statement, if you need to provide that to an administrator in an insolvency event, you can easily do that with one click, and that verification statement will be sent to the address for service linked to your SPG. If you need to make amendments to your registrations, you can do that again just by clicking on the Amend Registration tab, and you can make those minor amendments to the registration that won't affect priority. You can also extend the registration end time, and again, bearing in mind we're coming up to the renewal period for those initial transitional registrations, we want to make that that extending those registrations as simple as possible for you. So by clicking on the drop-down box, you can select the standard period based on the pricing as it is from PPSR Direct, or you can select a custom date if you do shorter or longer term registrations as well. Finally, if you no longer have a security interest in place with the customer, you can discharge your registration with 2 clicks. So making that process, again, as simple as possible for you to manage your registrations. If you do have a large number of registrations as well, you can search those registrations and we'll provide that in a summary to you. So if you do wish to search on, say you're giving a notice identifier or an ABN or ACN or individual, such as a sole trader, who you're looking to find specific registrations on, you can do that just within this tab here. You can also export all of your registrations into a CSV and store that locally on your computer. It's good, I guess, for long-term purposes, knowing what registrations you have in place and being able to share that internally within a business as well. Importantly, also, we can view your expired registrations. So if you're not sure whether or not you've had a registration in place with a customer and it's expired, you can view that information here on the portal itself. Jumping back into the portal, you can create registrations from scratch very simply by clicking on the Create Registration tab. We'll preload your SPG into the system there, and it's a process of going through and selecting all of the relevant information around your registration. Once you've done that, you can click Create. That registration will be processed as per normal, and once the registration is completed, it'll populate within your existing registrations tab. The easier way to create registrations is, of course, to set up templates for your common registrations. And for those customers out there that work in the trade credit space and looking to create ongoing PIMSI registrations over your inventory, we've set up a basic template there for you to view, which is a 7-year template. It's a PIMSI over your inventory. If you go ahead and click Create Registration, all you actually have to do at this stage is identify who your grantor is, identify the actual identifying number you wish to use, input that on the system there, and we'll validate that information for you at the same time. You then confirm that you wish to use the ACN. If you use a giving of notice identifier or you wish to change your description, you can do so, and then you can just go ahead and click Create. So a really straightforward process using that template registration. Additionally, you can bulk create registrations as well. So if you're new to PPSR and you do want to register your entire customer list and you have ACNs or ABNs or both, you can input those numbers into here as a direct copy across from a CSV or Excel file that you might have. If you deal with sole traders, the information you have to supply on sole traders when registering is their full name and date of birth as it appears on a driver's license or passport. So you can download the template to input that information, copy the file into our Dropbox here, and then click Create, and that'll process those registrations for you. The important thing with the templates itself is that we use the templates with our integration into Apply Easy and to Creditor Watch. I'll demonstrate that quickly for you now. But here we have, for example, the PIMSI registration at the top here. If you are within Apply Easy and are dealing with a new application that's come into your inbox, all you would have to do is select Approve to approve that registration. You can detail the credit limit that you'd like to have for that particular registration, assign an account ID. If you wish to send an email advising the customer they've been approved, you can do so from this screen. And as a final step, you can select whether you want to create a PPS registration. So by clicking yes, you'll have a list of those templates that are linked to PPSR logic. All you have to do from here is select the identifier that you wish to use. Being a proprietary limited company, we'll use ACN, and then submit registration. So that ACN information is being picked up directly from the application itself. Submit registration, again, as per the normal process with PPS registrations, we'll provide that information to ppsr.gov.au. They'll provide us back with the token of verification statement, which will then be available within PPSR logic itself. From here, you can also create another registration should you wish to add multiple grantors, or if you create a PIMSI registration and also a subsequent account registration or director's guarantee registration as well. So quite a straightforward process in terms of integration with Apply Easy itself. Aside from Apply Easy, we are also integrated into Creditor Watch as a system. So for instance, if you are looking at a company credit report, we bring up the company credit information there. If you wish to create the registration directly from this credit report, you just come to the side, click Create PPS Registration. Again, you would select the template that you wish to register against, and then it's as simple as entering the identifier that you wish to register against and inputting that information in there. And then finally clicking Create Registration, and again, as per ppsr.gov.au, all that information will be populated within the registration information at the bottom of the page. So that's PPSR logic and the integrations with Apply Easy and Creditor Watch. As I mentioned, quite straightforward, and as Patrick mentioned, try to take the best parts out of the systems that are available out there and listen to customer feedback that we've had. And obviously this is an evolving system as well, so there'll be constant upgrades and change to the system as well. So yeah, the difference, as I mentioned, it's easy to use interface. We will import all of your existing PPS registrations. The registration process, as I detailed, is very straightforward. It can be done with one click. We can amend registrations as well without having to create a new registration, and there'll be additional alerts on those registrations where they're about to expire. Of course, you can discharge, and overall the system should save you time and be cost effective.
So I think what's really important here as well, given that we're late November, almost December, as Paul said, most people who would have started 7 years ago, almost 7 years ago, would have plenty of renewals coming up at the end of Jan and into Feb. PPSR Logic is certainly positioned to assist you with that, be it performing a data wash, using the Creditor Watch data within the Creditor Watch, within the Credit Reporting Bureau that we operate, matching, ABNs, ACNs, even sole traders' names, that sort of thing. We can ensure that you're actually renewing properly and you're renewing against the correct entity type. And as always, at a very affordable rate. So I do encourage you, if you are going down the track with another provider, at the very least, please contact us for a second quote, just to make sure you are getting the best value for money out there. Importantly, the ongoing management of those registrations are really critical as well. So the alerts that we have set up coming through on a weekly basis to let you know that you have registrations due to expire and you should be renewing them. And also, aside from the alerts themselves, when you're in the platform, you can actually see the color-coded ones. Red being obviously the most important, and the closest ones due for renewal as well. So it really is helping the whole process of from registration through to management and renewal as well. I certainly do encourage a one-on-one demonstration, and if, at the very least, come and speak to us about getting some rates, and we can put a quote together for you, which as always will be extremely competitive.
So we'll jump into the next poll question. Have you currently, or have you done your PPSR renewals? We'll launch that now for you.
So I'd assume that the majority of people haven't yet, but I guess keeping in mind that if you're a way down the track to doing the renewals, you can always put in a yes there. So very quick one. The majority of you have not. Hopefully you are starting to think about it, because it is going to creep up very quickly, particularly as we get into the Christmas and New Year period.
So I won't jump into the details of the case study there, but we have a number of customers that are using the portal itself. This document will also be available for you all to view at the end of the session as well. So I guess just as a wrap up of the information we've gone through, if you do want any more information on PPSR itself and some of the earlier webinars, they are available to download. And of course, if you do have any questions, you can contact us via admin@creditorwatch.com.au or replying directly to webinars@creditorwatch.com.au as well.
Just as a sort of final comment from me, just to be really clear, there are obviously the three ways to be able to access PPSR Logic. You can use it direct at the PPSR Logic platform. You can obviously access it via Creditor Watch within the credit reports, and also via Apply Easy. So in saying that, you don't have to be using Apply Easy. You don't even have to be using Creditor Watch if you just wanted to use PPSR Logic. That's certainly an option. So we're always keen to fit in with the way people want to be able to register. We're just going to have a look through a couple of the questions to see if there is anything that we can answer for you today. Just going to expand it. Bear with us for a second. Looks like a bunch of them have been answered already. Any here that you want to answer?
Yeah, so there's a quick question from Hashan just in relation to setting up registrations for two grantors. Really good question. As part of the registration process through PPSR Logic and Apply Easy, you can set up registrations for two grantors. So obviously a common registration type is when you're dealing with a trust and you have a corporate trustee. The Act itself says to register against the ABN of the trust. But also importantly, you want to cover yourself as much as possible, so you'd like to register against the corporate trustee. So you can do that through PPSR Logic, quite simply by selecting additional grantors to add to the system itself or to the registration. So not only registering the ABN, but also the corporate trustee, and we validate that for you on the spot. So our next question from Linda is, how long will it take you before you get the verification statement? Will it be emailed directly to me? The short answer to that is yes, it will be emailed directly to you. And the verification statement, if you're receiving it at the moment within 1 to 2 minutes, the process will be exactly the same. So we haven't As a system, we haven't changed any of that information or the way it's sent directly to you. All that we're doing is adding that information that comes from the verification statement into PPSR logic so you can manage your registrations as easily as possible. The next question we have from Sarah is, do I need to notify customers when registering a PIMSI? Again, as part of the Act itself, the PPSA, you do have an obligation to notify customers when you're registering any type of security interest against them. So the short answer to that again is yes. I guess we'll take one more question from Karen, which is that she has over 500 registrations due to expire in January 2019. If I choose to do a bulk upload, will this be a new registration or extension on my previous registration? Really good question. There's a couple of different schools of thought on this. If they're transitional registrations, depending on who you speak to, and different providers and lawyers have different schools of thought on this, but if the registration information that you have on those transitional registrations is correct, and you've gone through and checked it, so details such as ABNs, ACNs are correct, you've used the right identifier, they're still a customer of yours, I guess the ordinary thinking around it is to renew that particular registration, and in some cases actually create a new registration that's not transitional. The reason being is that you want to show continued perfection of your security interest with that initial registration itself, but by linking it to a non-transitional registration, you're making sure that you're covered and you've reviewed the registration itself.
So just with the time wrapping up here, I think we'll there's plenty of questions coming through, and I thank you for that. We will get back to you in hopefully this afternoon, if not by tomorrow. So I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone who joined today and got involved in terms of providing questions and poll answers and whatnot. And thank you to Paul as well for joining us. Insightful as ever. We'll get these questions answered, as I said, as soon as possible. We'll get all the details around the video itself, the recording, and also the slides through to everyone who attended. Feel free to contact us in the short term anyway if you do have urgent questions. We're always available to help. So thank you to everyone for joining again, and we'll wrap it up there. We do have a few more webinars coming up, at least one where we're looking at the year that was, and also the product suite of Creditor Watch. So keep an eye out for those, and please do join us. But if not, have a fantastic and safe Christmas and New Year's period, and hopefully we'll see you in the new year as well. Thank you very much.